How's it going, guys? Adam here with NWCarbon Haus, and in today's video we're going to be enhancing the front end of the G99 Touring. As you guys can see, I already have it up in the air, have the wheels off, and we're actually going to be enhancing the front end by changing that big center section of the grille. So if you guys weren't aware, the M5 does come with a giant gaping hole in the front of the bumper. I know it's very, very big and obvious, and you really can't miss it. You can stick your whole head inside of there. But in today's video, we're gonna show you guys how to enhance the car by removing that piece and replacing it with a carbon version, as well as some grill mesh that sits right behind the grill. Super nice and flush looking, and it'll keep all the debris out of your radiator area. So obviously the first thing you wanna do is get the car up in the air. I've got it on some jacks right now, pull the wheels off. I additionally pulled the wheel wells off, the front section at least, that way I could get my hands inside of there to remove the front bumper. Yes, I would say the front bumper is required to remove in order to install that center section. Supposedly online there's ways to do it, but from my experience there isn't. So I think the best way to ensure that you've got proper fitment is to actually remove the front bumper in order to replace that entire center section. When it comes to the grill mesh, you can actually do the install without removing anything. It is a lot harder to do, but it is possible. You'll just have to kind of reach your hands back inside of there, inside of that gaping hole area, in order to get it all properly fit. But with that being said, it should be relatively straightforward installation. I've taken bumpers off a lot of BMWs over my time, so the concepts are pretty much the same. I like to remove the front wheel wells just to have access. Otherwise, you can leave it there if you want and peel back, part of that inner well to have access to the two screws that are right here on these bumpers. There's a screw here and a screw here. In order to remove that side, there's a series of screws and tabs on the underside, as well as the very top of the engine bay. So go ahead and remove all that, and then I'll come back to you guys and show you what this looks like without a bumper on it, and we'll get started on the actual install for the center section.
This is what the M5 G90 G99 will look like without a front bumper. So this is the back side of the bumper. There's two modifications we're going to be doing. One is mesh behind these grills right here, and the other is replacing this entire black center section. The big gaping hole in the front, we're going to do a carbon version of this, but I'll show you guys the mesh. All right, so we're killing two birds with one stone. This is our mesh grill for the G90 G99. So there's four pieces. You'll see there's two here, two smaller pieces here, held on by tape. So this is to help prevent your radiator from getting any rock chips or anything like that. And so basically, if you come around this side, you'll see how to install these. It's easiest to do it while the bumper is completely off the car. And you'll see these are for the small sides here. So it'll fit on just like so. One there. There's a cutout right here. Follows the shape of this right here. So this is usable on the OEM piece, as well as the carbon version that we're about to put on. So one there, one here, just like that, and one here. So basically it'll keep all the leaves and all the debris out from getting back behind your bumper and into the radiator area. So that's what this is for. This is a really great solution because it actually sits behind the bumper from the backside. If you go around the front right there, you can see this is kind of inset inside the bumper, whereas other brands are actually more on the outside of the grill. And so we want this to be back on the inside. It's a nice cleaner look and does the job, protects your radiator. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys the SQ center section of the bumper. This is full carbon, dry carbon. I will have links in the video description for this piece, as well as the mesh grill. We've got a couple different versions of this one. We have an OEM version, we have the SQ version, which I'll show you here in a second. We have a Revo Sport version as well. So when you order, this is how it'll come, nicely boxed up, packaged. And again, all this is completely dry carbon fiber, super high quality. And then it'll be OEM fitment as well. All right, so here's what it will look like. It's a very large piece. All right. All right, so if you come on in here, you'll see all the detail. Super high gloss weave. And this being the SQ style has these slats on the inner parts here. So it kind of gives that nice, more, nicer dimension to it versus the OEM one. So again, we've got the OEM design, which is completely open here, just like the stock black one, only it's in carbon. This is the SQ design with the 2 horizontal slats, and then we've got a Revo Sport version as well, completely different design. So it'll have all the same kind of factory mounting tabs. You'll see here on the bottom, all the OEM holes. So what you'll do is reuse a lot of your hardware, and then this side here also comes with some zip ties. This is going to be for your tow hook cover as well. So a complete replacement as well there, double-sided taped on. And this is going to be for all of your wiring that's behind here on the OEM bumper, the OEM center section here. You'll see we have all these wires here for different plugs for your parking distance control sensors and things like that. So we're basically going to show you how to remove this entire center section out of here. And because it doesn't have the same kind of mounting on our new version, we'll be using the provided zip ties to hold it all together. All right, so in addition, you'll see that we do have the same kind of mounting areas here. These are all the tabs that go all the way across. These you'll see, these are for the zip ties. So we'll actually slip a zip tie right through there. We'll run our wire right across the entire top section here. We'll zip tie it using these little mounting areas. And in addition, you'll see that these are basically the same as the factory version of the parking distance control sensors that hold these into place. These are clips for that. So everything else looks pretty much OEM. So we're gonna go ahead and take you to the factory bumper and take off the old one. All right, so as you guys can see, we've got the bumper face down. I've got it on a nice little clean rug here just to protect everything. The front bumper is PPF, so I'm not super concerned. But what we're gonna do is start right here. You'll see that there's 2 of these plastic clips right here. One here, one here. Same thing with the driver's side. We're working on the passenger side right now. So here and here. And so these are going to pop out. I'm using this little wedge tool. You can use a flathead screwdriver, just be very careful. So we're going to pull out this middle part of the tab. All right, so I'm using this little plastic or this little metal trim tool here just to pull this middle part of the tab down, and you'll see that it comes out. So the way that this works is when this is pushed all the way in, it expands and flares out, and that's what it holds into. So same thing down here. And pull this out. And then you can usually go in there with your hand and grab it and get it the rest of the way out. So we've got 1, 2 there, and then we'll go over here to the other side. Same thing, right here. Pull it out just like so. 1, 2. All right, so I've already removed this side off camera, so I'll kind of explain this and I'll show you to do it on the passenger side. But basically, you'll see that there's this inner skin that we had to pull off first. So this was sitting down inside of here. So there's 6 mounting points. 1 here on top, here, 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 and here. So this was sitting in here just like that. So once you kind of release all of those, then this whole inner shell will pop out. So I'll show you guys how to do that on the passenger side. So I'll kind of explain this as we go here. So starting at the top, so this is top down basically. There's this clip here you need to kind of push down. So using trim tool is pretty helpful. Just like that. So come back on top here. So what I did was there was this piece right here that I kind of propped down, and then I was able to push it here from the top. So that's kind of released this one here. This one down in here, you'll need a pick tool to push up, So you kind of push up on the clip until it kind of releases. Kind of have to feel for it. There. So you can kind of see I've wedged my, you can see right here, I've got this wedged in between. So there's a little tab here that you need to push down, and that'll release this top section. So we've got this section done, this section done. Then what we can kind of do is pull it. And it'll release from this side. If you come around this way, it'll pull the tab here, where my finger is, and here. So that releases that section. And then, if you come back around again, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the bottom 2 are down in this slot right here. There's 2 down here. We're using a small screwdriver now in here. All right, so propping this kind of in here like that. Kind of bending that back a little bit, and then pushing this part down. And same thing on this one here. Prop this one up. This one up. Give it a tug and it'll come out. So I've propped the bumper back up on its normal axis here. Now we're going to work on removing the wiring harness that goes all the way across here for the parking distance control sensors, etc. And so what I'm going to do first, you'll see that we've got a plug here for a parking distance control sensor, and then one on this side as well. So in order to do these, there's a white little tab here. That's a locking tab. So what you need to do is take a little trim tool, push down on it. It unlocks, and then you can push it or squeeze it with your fingers, and it'll pop out. So you need to push in and pull out at the same time. Just like that. So this one is now unplugged, so you'll see how that works. This white part is the lock. So you'll pull it out, and then you'll squeeze it with your fingers and pull out at the same time. So the one there, and then one here, same thing. So that's out, and then same thing, we're gonna go across here. Some of these you can kind of grab and pull out with your hands, like that. To give it a little tug, same thing with here, 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 here. Like that. And then let's do it here. You could use a trim tool like this to help if need be. I find that it's a little easier sometimes to just use your fingers. So having a trim tool like this comes in handy because these tabs are really awful to deal with. So if you can wedge it in there and then kind of do that, it'll help save your fingertips. So same thing here, wedge it in, wedge it down in there. And then pull out. So now we've got pretty much all of this released. I'm gonna leave this one on here because this is staying with the bumper, but we're basically removing it from the black piece since that's the part where we are replacing. And then I'm gonna use this again. There's a tab here, little clip. So pull that out. Got one there, one on this side. Sometimes the pin comes out. Make sure you remove the entire piece. And don't lose the pin. Okay, so that's loose there. That's loose here. We can work on the bottom part now. Next up, we're going to work on this tow hook cover. So this is the back side of the tow hook cover. You'll see that we've got this little white cord here that keeps it into place. So basically, we're going to try to pull this out here from the back side while we can see. Take the gloves off here. Fish it through this hole. So we are removing this entirely, like that. And then if you come around to the front side, you'll see the actual tow hook cover is right here. So if you push down on this, like that, it'll swing open and comes out. So what we're gonna do is eventually, we're going to take the purple part off and replace it with the carbon version instead of the black. All right, so now we're able to remove this whole center section of the bumper. So you'll see these tabs that go all the way across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. It kind of goes around the entire perimeter. So you'll see all these tabs that go all the way around the perimeter. There's a couple here on the top. So basically, same thing. We're gonna use a plastic trim tool or my metal trim tool, and we're gonna kind of go in here and prop these down. So same kind of thing. There's these, the tabs that you need to kind of push down and push out at the same time. So all of them kind of have to be done simultaneously, but if you start in one section and kind of work your way around, it's a little bit easier, and then it'll pull out from the front side. All right, so let's start right here. I'm gonna push this down and push out. See how easy that was? Push in, push out. Push down, push out. So all these are getting a little bit loose. So now this whole top section of the grill, that center section, is actually already coming out from the front side. So same thing, I'll go around this side here. Push down and out. Push down and out. Down and out. Down and out. Down and out. So at least that kind of helps get it going. And then we can work down the sides here as well. All right, so now we're gonna move down this side. Same thing, using my trim tools here. This one's really fantastic. It's like a really thin fingernail almost, only you're not breaking your own fingernail. So same thing, kind of push down. This is also helpful if you don't have the metal one. And then here, push down and out. And then you get to this one. This is like the only one here on the bottom. There we go. And then we'll come back to this one if we have to. And then we'll move over to this side. Same thing, since we've already done these here on the top, we can start moving our way down this way. Push in and out. Push in and out. And this one, same thing. There. So this one down here, you kind of have to push up this way and out at the same time. So as you guys can see, I've got this whole side out already. Since we already pushed the whole upper part, the bottom tab right here on the side was the only one left. So kind of need to push it in and pull out at the same time from the back side. Like that. And then the rest follow suit, come right out. Here you go. Here's a side-by-side comparison. This is the OEM black one versus the SQ diffuser in full carbon. As you guys can see, I already did install the mesh on the backside. Super easy to do, as I showed you in the beginning of the video. So it is taped on from the backside with some double-sided tape. So you've got 4 pieces there. Very simple and easy and comprehensive to install. And again, the mesh does work with not only the aftermarket diffuser, but it also does work with the OEM. So same concept. You could theoretically install the mesh while the bumper is on the car and this section is on the car. It's gonna be a little bit harder to kind of get your hands back behind here, mostly in the smaller sections, but it is doable. But if you want that perfect seamless fitment, I do recommend doing it while the entire bumper is off, just to ensure that you've got a nice adhesion on the tape. Next up, what we need to do is transfer over the parking distance control sensors from the factory piece over to the new SQ version. So I'm going to flip both of these over. So these are held in by these little clips right here. So if you use a little trim tool or a small screwdriver, you should be able to get them out pretty easily. So it'll be plug and play basically. So you kind of need to use a combination of your fingers here to kind of pull this back on both sides to release them. one. Gonna use the second one here. There you go. And if the rubber part happens to pop off a little bit, you can easily push that back on. So I'm going to transfer this directly over to the new one. This should be a little bit easier to pop into place. So all you need to do is push it back down into those clips, but when you're doing so, I'm going to flip this up on the front side again and make sure that that rubber grommet is going to sit flat and perfectly flush against the carbon. Just like so. So it sits, see how it's not in right there? So we just need to kind of pull that part back out again and try to readjust until we can get that to sit appropriately. There we go, just like that. We'll do the exact same thing on the other side. We're now ready to reinstall the new carbon fiber version. As you guys can see, I used a little bit of painter's tape on both sides here just to help protect as this is going in. Just want to line everything up. So I'm going to just kind of take my time here and start getting this into place. So with a little bit of finesse and a little bit of patience, you can get it all back in, clipped in appropriately. So the good thing about carbon fiber is it is super strong. In addition to being lightweight and looking really nice, it's actually very strong. So you can actually hit it with the back side of your hand here and actually get all these clips to pop in. So as you guys can see, everything is now officially popped in all the way around the entire perimeter, and it fits like an absolute glove. So no issues at all with the fitment. You just got to take your time and be patient. And again, it is helpful to add the tape up around here in these areas, just because when you're kind of navigating it in, you do have the tabs here on this side that you don't want to risk scratching your paint. So again, I do have PPF on this entire front end of the car here, so that helps too. But having the tape there just kind of helps protect things as you're trying to guide in those clips. But as you guys can see, it's all together now, and now we can focus back on the back side and get our remaining little skin pieces back on. Okay, so we're ready to reinstall the inner skin. I already did it on this side, as you guys can see. So I do want to point out that the black part goes underneath the painted part here, and I went ahead and reinstalled those factory plastic clips. So everything does clip back into place, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side, kind of wedge this underneath, just like so. Try to navigate it in there. And it will clip back into the factory clipped areas as well, on the top and the bottom. So this side's clipped in. On this side, down this, I can line these holes up, and the bottom is also about to be clipped in. So once you kind of get that in a good spot, you can kind of push this in simultaneously in order to get these clips in. All right, so kind of pushing this in, lining up my holes here. I'm taking my clip, going from the front side of the bumper, and installing those two clips, and then pushing that pin in, and that secures it into place. So this whole side is good to go. That side's good to go. The only thing we have left is to re-secure our wiring. Now that we've got everything all back in place, we can go ahead and reinstall our working distance control plugs until it clicks in, and then click the lock in. Same thing with this side. Push it in until it clicks, and then lock, click. Now all we need to do is kind of do some wire maintenance here. So because we don't have those same types of OEM clips, we're going to use the provided zip ties. So push it on through there, just like so. And this is just to keep it from vibrating or moving around. We'll cut the excess pieces off here shortly. Go ahead and get it all tidied up. here. All right, just like that. We're gonna cut these off and we are ready to reinstall this back on the bumper, or back on the car. So now I'm working on the front tow hook cover. So I've already gotten it taken apart, as you guys can see here, but just wanted to explain how I did this. So if you flip this over, it's actually two pieces. So it's the black piece as well as the painted version. And so when it's all together, there's these two tabs, one here and one here. It comes through these holes right here. So what you kind of need to do is bend these little small tabs back right there and right there. And then you'll be able to push these tabs down. Once you do that, you're able to pull this whole thing apart. So it was basically like this when it was together. And so when you push those tabs and manipulate them a little bit, it'll actually separate very, very easily. So now you can go ahead and take this, and we're going to transfer the new carbon piece on top of this. So swapping the new tow hook cover, the carbon piece, is much easier than removing the old one. And as you guys can see, it fits perfectly, fits like a glove. All you need to do is push that little plastic little rope back in through that hole. That way it secures it in place and it fits absolutely flawlessly. All right guys, so at this point, the entire front bumper is ready to be reinstalled on the car. We've got the grille, the mesh grille back on. We've got the center section done. We've got the tow hook cover on. Everything is put back into its place and the wiring harness is all secure and everything. So we're ready to go ahead and reinstall the bumper, and we'll show you guys the transformation at the very end. Finally have the bumper back on, everything's in place, and here is what the new center section looks like. Much more aggressive. Love the giant full carbon. And I think having these little accent pieces here, the slats in the middle, make a drastic difference. And then same thing with the mesh behind there. Obviously provides a lot more coverage and keeps leaves and debris and things like that out, because if you remember the stock one, very, very large. You could put your whole head inside of here even, and a lot of things can get trapped behind there. So that's really going to prevent a lot of debris and road junk from getting back in there and damaging the radiator as well. So here's what it looks like. Absolutely fantastic looking. All right guys, so that wraps up today's video for the carbon fiber SQ center section for the M5. This is for the G90 G99. As you guys can see, it looks absolutely fantastic, a lot more aggressive. Also for the mesh grills behind there. So if you're looking for something like this, I will have a link in the video description below for the mesh grills, our website, as well as this particular part. But again, we do have a couple different variations of this. We have the OEM version without the slats, we have this, and we have another version for Revo support. So definitely check out our website, NWCarbonHaus.com. And the only thing left to do really at this point is to tidy things up, put the wheels back on, get it back on the ground. But I'm actually gonna be installing a different front lip on this car in a different video, so stay tuned for that one. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care, thanks for watching.